The morning I finally stopped being afraid of my husband began with the sound of his voice slicing through our Manhattan apartment like a blade. "Grace, what did you put in my coffee?" I hadn't even turned from the counter yet. The steam from his mug curled upward like a tiny whisper of rebellion. Inside it, floating not so innocently, was a pinch of black pepper. Not poison, not revenge. Just the smallest act of disobedience after 45 years of shrinking beside a man who never once shrank for me. Harold coughed like the universe had betrayed him. "This tastes like I'm drinking a sandwich," he barked. I finally turned around, holding my own cup of Starbucks Pike Place with both hands, the way I held myself together for decades. "Maybe your taste buds are finally working," I said calmly. His eyes narrowed. "Don't start with me this early, Grace." "It's 6:12 a.m., I replied. "You've been starting with me since 5:48. He blinked, offended by the accuracy. 6:13 a.m., Manhattan, Upper West Side. The winter sky outside our apartment windows was still dark, painted with the faint glow of the city waking up. Harold stood in the kitchen wearing his robe crookedly, hair sticking up like an angry rooster. He took another sip and coughed again. "Something is wrong with this coffee. Admit it, you did something." I shrugged. "Accidents happen. Nothing in this house happens by accident," he snapped. I looked at him over my mug. "Oh, Harold, if only you knew what was coming." 6:15 a.m., the silent routine. The same dance every morning. I cooked. He criticized. I walked quietly. He stomped loudly. Harold had never raised a hand to me, but his words, those were his weapons. Sharp, heavy, daily. But today, a tiny sprinkle of pepper reminded me I wasn't invisible. Today, I wanted to feel something. Maybe even change something. 6:16 a.m., a message arrives. My phone buzzed. Harold's head snapped toward it like a guard dog spotting a squirrel. I picked it up before he did. A text. From Liam. "Liam, you coming this morning? Saved the good map for you." Warmth bloomed in my chest. Unexpected, gentle, terrifying. Harold squinted. "Who's Liam?" I didn't answer right away. "He works at the senior center," I finally said. "Breathing class." "You don't need that nonsense. You have perfectly fine lungs." "My lungs are fine," I said. "My life isn't." His jaw tightened. 6:17 a.m., the first crack in his voice. Harold set the mug down hard enough for the pepper to swirl like a storm. "You're acting odd, Grace. I'm acting awake. I don't like it." "I know," I said. "You never like when I take up space." He stared at me, really stared, as if realizing for the first time that I wasn't the same wife who whispered instead of speaking. "Grace," he began, but the words got tangled in his throat. For the first time in decades, he didn't know what to say. 6:18 a.m., a shift. I grabbed my cardigan, slid my phone into my bag, and headed toward the door. Harold called out, "Where are you going?" "To class." "At this hour?" "It starts soon. And you're just leaving me here? You'll survive." He sputtered. "What if I need something?" "You have your phone." He lifted it helplessly. "It hates me." "Well," I said, opening the door, "maybe it learned from its owner." His eyes widened in offense, but I didn't look back. Because for the first time in 45 years, I wasn't leaving out of fear. I was leaving because I finally remembered what freedom felt like. A sprinkle of pepper, and finally, I could breathe. 6:19 a.m., hallway outside our apartment. The door clicked shut behind me, and for the first time in years, the silence outside felt lighter than the silence inside. I tightened my cardigan over my shoulders, stepped into the elevator, and pressed the lobby button. But before the doors fully closed, a hand shot in, then a foot. Then a very annoyed Harold squeezed inside wearing his slippers and, God help me, his robe over pajama pants. "Harold?" I exclaimed. "Why are you following me?" "I'm escorting you," he declared, panting slightly. "It's dangerous outside at this hour." "It's Manhattan," I said. "Dangerous is the default." He pointed a dramatic finger. "Exactly." The elevator dinged. 6:20 a.m. lobby. The doorman, Charles, lifted his eyebrow as Harold stumbled out first. "Rough morning, Mr. Whitmore?" he asked politely. Harold sniffed. "My wife poisoned me." I closed my eyes. It was pepper. Charles paused. "Still counts." Harold pointed triumphantly. "See," I groaned. "It was a sprinkle, not a felony." Charles nodded sympathetically. "Ma'am, a sprinkle can still be a threat depending on personality." Harold puffed with pride as if validated by court ruling. I whispered, "Charles, you are not helping." He lowered his voice. "I know, but this is entertaining." 6:22 a.m., walking toward the senior center. Harold waddled beside Toy, one hand clutching his robe closed. "You don't need this class," he muttered. "I do. You can breathe at home. I can also choke at home." He paused, shocked. "Grace, did you just make a joke about our marriage?" "Yes. I'm offended." "Good, that means your emotions still function." He gasped dramatically, placing a hand on his chest. "I'll have you know I have deep emotional layers. Harold, the deepest thing about you is your snoring." A pedestrian passing us actually choked on his bagel. 6:25 a.m. Arrival at the senior center. The glass doors slid open, releasing warm air and the faint scent of lavender. Seniors sat in the lobby chatting, knitting, or fighting gently over the TV channel. Then someone waved. Mrs. Donnelly, the queen of gossip, the elder ringleader, the woman who weaponizes friendliness. She called out, "Grace, your young man is already inside." Harold froze so suddenly 2 people had to dodge him. "My what?" he shouted. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "She means Liam." Harold looked betrayed. "Why does she know his name?" "Because she has ears. She listens too much." 6:27 a.m. Inside the studio. We walked into the breathing classroom. Soft music played. Mats were arranged neatly. And there, adjusting the lighting, stood Liam. 30 calm, kind smile. Everything Harold was not and never tried to be. He brightened when he saw me. "Morning, Grace," I smiled back. "Morning." Harold stepped between us like a human barricade. "I'm her husband." Liam blinked. "Congratulations," Harold sniffed. "We're attending together." "You are?" Liam asked, surprised. "No," I corrected. "He is stalking. I'm supervising," Harold corrected back. Liam cleared his throat professionally. "All right, everyone. Mats ready?" 6:28 a.m. The mat fight. I walked toward my usual mat, the one Liam always saved. Harold sprint limped ahead of me and sat right in the middle of it. "This one is ours." "Harold, get up." "No, that's my mat. It's our marital mat." "There's no such thing." He crossed his arms. "Then I'm inventing it." Liam walked over, trying not to laugh. "Sir, that mat is for people with functional hamstrings." Harold glared. "My hamstrings function." He attempted a stretch to prove it. A loud pop echoed. He froze. "Grace, my leg just said something." 6:29 a.m. A moment of truth. Liam rushed to Harold's side. I reached for Harold's arm. For a moment his face wasn't angry. It was scared. Old. Human. "Are you okay?" I asked softly. He swallowed. "I don't know." That was the first honest thing he'd said all year. Liam whispered, "Maybe let Grace take her mat today." Harold looked between us, me gently holding his arm, and Liam patient and steady. And finally his shoulders dropped. "Fine. She can have it." He shuffled aside, defeated but softer somehow. I sat on the mat. Breathing in. Breathing out. For the first time in 45 years, Harold wasn't the center of my world. I was. 6:30 a.m. Inside the breathing studio. As everyone settled, Harold lowered himself onto a random mat with the grace of a tired walrus. He grunted, winced, adjusted, grunted again, then finally accepted defeat. "This mat is judging me," he muttered. "It's foam, Harold," I said. "It can't judge. It's judging spiritually." From behind us, Mrs. Donnelly whispered loudly, "He's dramatic before the class even starts." Harold turned his head like an owl. "I heard that." "You were meant to," she replied. 6:32 a.m. The warm-up disaster. Liam walked to the front, glowing with that annoyingly calm energy only young instructors and people who sleep 8 hours possess. "All right, everyone, let's begin with shoulder rolls." Everyone followed smoothly. Except Harold. He rolled the opposite way again, then too fast. Then he rolled so hard he made a noise like a squeaky door hinge. Liam paused. "That's creative movement." Harold snapped. "It's art." Mrs. Donnelly whispered, "It's arthritis." I bit my lip so hard trying not to laugh that I tasted regret. 6:34 a.m. Breathing practice. "Now inhale slowly through your nose," Liam said. The class inhaled gracefully. Then Harold inhaled, loudly, dramatically, with the theatrical energy of someone trying to suck up the entire oxygen supply of Manhattan. Liam blinked. "Sir, maybe a bit softer?" "This is soft," Harold declared. "No," I whispered. "That was aggressive inhaling." Someone in the back snorted. 6:36 a.m. The balance pose incident. Liam demonstrated a gentle balancing posture. Harold attempted it. He wobbled. He stabilized. He wobbled again. He tilted sideways like a sinking cruise ship. Then he reached out. Not for me, not for Liam, but for the decorative fake bamboo plant in the corner. The entire plant toppled over with a dramatic whoosh. Liam closed his eyes. That plant cost the center $89. Harold defended himself. It attacked me first. No, Harold, I said. It existed. That's all it did. Mrs. Donnelly yelled, check his blood pressure. Harold shouted back, check your attitude. 6:40 a.m., a soft moment in the chaos. When the plant was upright again, well, leaning politely, Liam dimmed the lights. Let's rest our hands over our hearts, he said softly. I placed my hand over mine. Harold placed his over his butt. Missed. He slapped his upper stomach. Is this my heart? He whispered loudly. No, I said. Unless your anatomy is new. He adjusted. Here? A little left. He moved again. Here? Mrs. Donnelly called. That's your nipple. Harold yelped and jerked his hand away like something bit him. The room erupted in laughter. Even I laughed. Really laughed. A sound I had forgotten how to make. Harold froze, stunned, as if hearing my laughter for the first time in years. 6:43 a.m. the shift. Liam's voice grew gentle. Breathe in. Feel the weight you've carried for too long. My chest tightened. 45 years of shrinking. 45 years of being spoken over. 45 years of avoiding the smallest confrontations and swallowing oceans of silence. I exhaled. Something inside me softened. Something inside me cracked open. Liam walked past me and whispered just loud enough. Good, Grace. You're doing beautifully. Warmth spread through me, not romantic but human. Warm, validating. Like sunlight on old skin. I didn't notice Harold watching. 6:45 a.m., Harold's mini-crisis. Liam instructed, now close your eyes. Everyone did, except Harold. He kept one eye open, glaring at Liam like a suspicious squirrel. He leaned toward me. Grace, he whispered to you. Yes, I whispered back. It's encouragement. I want encouragement, he hissed. Then breathe softer. I am breathing softer. That's yelling. It's soft yelling. Liam sighed, walked over, placed a gentle hand on Harold's shoulder, and whispered, You're doing fine, sir. Harold froze, then whispered back, Thank you. And for a second, just one, he looked like a man who finally realized what gentle felt like. 6:46 a.m., Breathing Studio, Manhattan. The room had softened into that warm early morning glow, the kind that made every wrinkle look like wisdom and every deep breath feel like borrowed peace. Harold sat stiffly on his mat, clutching his knee as if the knee had personally betrayed him. Liam moved slowly through the room. Now we'll lie down gently, Harold interrupted. I don't lie down gently, I descend with caution. Mrs. Donnelly rolled her eyes. Same thing, Harold. No, he corrected. One is elegant, one is survival. 6:40 a.m. the descent. Liam demonstrated the posture. Everyone lowered themselves silently. Then came Harold. Stage 1, knees bend. Stage 2, hands reach. Stage 3, a dramatic grunt loud enough to echo. Then a sound came out of him, half groan, half opera note, that made two seniors jump. Liam asked, Are you all right? I am exercising, Harold roared as if volume improved form. You sound like you're being exorcised, Mrs. Donnelly muttered. Harold glared. I'll have you know I was very athletic in my youth. What sport? She smirked. Yelling? I covered my face with my hands. If laughter burned calories, I was losing weight by the minute. 6:49 a.m. Guided breathing, aka Harold's internal crisis. The lights dimmed further. Liam's voice grew soft. Put one hand on your chest, one on your stomach. Everyone did. Harold picked the wrong stomach region. Again. That's your spleen, Harold, Mrs. Donnelly yelled. I don't even know what a spleen is. Harold snapped. I leaned over. Move your hand here. He obeyed. For once, quietly. Something about that obedience unsettled me. 6:51 a.m. Liam's words hit too deep. Close your eyes, Liam said. What is one thing weighing on you today? I inhaled. 45 years of swallowed words. 45 years of walking smaller than I was. 45 years of fear disguised as routine. A tear slid down my temple before I could stop it. Liam stepped near me, not touching, not intruding, just a presence. You're doing wonderfully, Grace, he murmured. Something inside me cracked open. 6:52 a.m. Harold's explosion of jealousy. Harold's eyes flew open. He sat up abruptly, much too fast, and toppled sideways, rolling onto his back like an overturned beetle. Did you just compliment my wife again? He demanded from the floor. Harold, I tried to calm him. No, I heard it, he yelled, limbs flailing. He said she was wonderful, Mrs. Donnelly huffed. Well, she is. Sit down. Harold pointed at Liam dramatically. Stop whispering sunshine at her. Liam put both hands up. Sir, it's standard instruction. No, it's romantic instruction. I buried my face in my mat. Somewhere, God was laughing at me. 6:54 a.m. The unexpected moment of humanity. Liam walked toward Harold, who was still on the floor like a fallen statue. "Let me help you up," Liam said gently. "I don't need help," Harold muttered. "You're holding your back with both hands. That's for balance. You're lying down. Then it's for horizontal balance." Liam suppressed a smile and offered his hand again. Harold finally took it. When he stood up, breath unsteady, pain flashing across his face, he looked at me, but not with anger, not with ego, with fear. Real fear. "Grace," he whispered, "you're slipping away from me." The words didn't hit like guilt, they hit like truth. I inhaled softly, for myself, not for him. 6:56 a.m. The class ends. Liam announced, "Everyone, thank you, see you next week." Harold whispered to himself, "Not if I can help it." I glanced at him. He stopped, looked guilty, looked lost. Mrs. Donnelly leaned close and whispered to me, "Don't let that old rooster clip your wings, sweetheart." I smiled. For the first time that morning, my smile wasn't polite, it was mine. Harold limped out of the room like a man who had been emotionally, spiritually, and physically defeated by yoga-level stretching. I walked behind him, holding my water bottle, trying not to look like someone escorting an irritated grandfather who'd just lost a boxing match with gravity. Harold groaned. "My back is filing a complaint with HR." I blinked. "Harold, you are the HR of your own body." "That's the worst part." Mrs. Donnelly passed by and patted his shoulder. "Good effort, Harold. You survived." He stared after her, devastated. "Survived? That's my praise? That's it?" "Considering your performance," I said. "It's generous." 6:58 a.m. The hallway water fountain. As we headed toward the exit, Harold stopped at the water fountain. "I need hydration," he announced, like he was narrating a documentary about his own life. He pressed the button. The water shot sideways, directly up his nose. Harold jerked back, sputtering like a broken lawn sprinkler. "It attacked me again." "This is a different fountain," I pointed out. "The faction is spreading." I placed a hand on my hip. "Water cannot form factions." "Then explain that," he shouted, pointing at the completely normal water stream. A senior man walking by muttered, "Some folks need decaf." Harold gasped like he'd been stabbed. "I drink regular coffee like a man," I whispered. "It's 6:58 a.m., Harold. Please don't shout about masculinity." 7 a.m., Liam reappears at the door. Liam stepped out of the studio, holding a clipboard and adjusting the dim hallway light. "Grace," he said warmly, "you did really well today." I smiled slightly. "Thank you." Harold's head snapped around so fast I thought his neck might file another HR complaint. "She did okay," Harold corrected, stepping between us. "Not great. Don't oversell her." Liam raised an eyebrow. "She was great, actually." I tried not to blush. Harold threw his arms up. "Insubordination," Liam smiled calmly. "Sir, this is a breathing class, not a corporation." "Well, maybe it should be," Harold snapped, "because then I could fire you." "Harold," I whispered, "you don't own oxygen." He froze. "Not yet." 7:02 a.m. Sign-up sheet. Drama. Liam handed me a clipboard. "If you want next week's spot, just sign here." Before I could touch the pen, Harold snatched it. "Put my name too." "You want to come back?" I asked. "Yes, I have to supervise." "Supervise what?" He pointed dramatically, his whispering. Liam sighed through his nose. "Sir, I whisper because it's a breathing class." "Sounds suspicious to me." I gently took the pen from Harold. "I'll sign myself, you can decide later." Harold huffed, crossing his arms. "I've already decided. I'm attending every class until I die." Mrs. Donnelly walking by added, "Then hope the mat holds out." Harold clutched his back. "So do I." 7:04 a.m. Outside the center. The cold Manhattan air hit us as we stepped outside. I zipped my cardigan, letting the breeze clear my head. Harold walked stiffly beside me, like a man unsure if every step would trigger a new sound effect from his joints. After a moment, he spoke. Quietly. "Grace, am I really losing you?" I slowed down. "Harold, I'm not something you lose. I'm someone you neglected." He swallowed hard. "I don't want to be the bad guy." "You don't have to be," I said softly. "But you can't keep hurting me and expect me to stay the same." His voice cracked. "I'm trying. I swear I am." For the first time all morning he wasn't loud, he wasn't jealous, he wasn't defensive. He was human. I breathed in deeply, the way Liam taught me. "Trying is a start," I said, "but you'll have to show me." Harold nodded slowly, and for once his silence didn't feel threatening. It felt like possibility. Harold walked beside me like a man who had just returned from war. Not a real war, just a senior breathing class, but judging from the noises he made, you'd think he'd survived hand-to-hand combat with a yoga mat. My back, he groaned dramatically, is sending distress signals. I kept my pace steady. Maybe next time, don't fight gravity quite so aggressively. I wasn't fighting gravity, he snapped. Gravity ambushed me. A young woman jogging past us stifled a laugh. Harold noticed and puffed his chest as if he had something to prove. It deflated immediately when his hip made a tiny pop. He froze. Grace, something in me clicked. That was probably just your dignity, I said. Harold gasped. You're making jokes now? I'm finally warmed up, I said lightly. 7:06 a.m., Harold versus the pigeon. At the corner, a pigeon strutted into our path with the confidence of a Wall Street CEO. Harold stopped. Move, bird. The pigeon did not move. Harold leaned forward. I said, move. The pigeon took one bold step closer, like it was ready to square up. I whispered, Harold, don't challenge the wildlife. It started it. It weighs 2 pounds. It has authority, Grace. The pigeon flapped once. Harold yelped and stepped behind me. I shook my head. You just lost a staring contest with a pigeon. He cheated. Okay. 7:07 a.m., the softest moment yet. Halfway down the block, Harold reached out and touched my elbow, carefully, gently. It wasn't controlling, it wasn't demanding, it was human. Grace, he said quietly, I know I haven't been the best husband or even a decent one sometimes. I didn't answer, he continued, voice trembling. Seeing you today, laughing, breathing, listening to another man tell you you're doing great, I realized something. What's that? I asked carefully. That I forgot how to make you feel great. My chest tightened unexpectedly. Harold, I said softly, you didn't forget, you just never learned. He swallowed hard. For once he didn't argue. 7:08 a.m., the phone call that changed the walk. Harold's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and nearly tripped. Fraud alert again, he muttered. He answered. I listened. Yes, my wife is here. No, she did not open any credit account. His face turned pale. Under her social security number? When? How? My stomach dropped. Harold looked at me, eyes wide, terrified. Grace, someone used your information. My heartbeat quickened. Which information? Everything, he whispered. Correct birth date, correct address, even the middle initial no one uses. The wind suddenly felt colder. Harold, I said slowly, did you give my documents to anyone? He blinked rapidly. I mean, Sarah needed some mail last month for her loan paperwork, and I also gave her the spare key because she wanted to pick up a package. I stopped walking. Completely. You gave her our mail? An AT? Harold winced. She's family. I stared at him. Family doesn't open fraudulent accounts in someone else's name. Harold covered his face with both hands, like a man realizing he may have accidentally burned down his house by microwaving foil. I'm so stupid, he whispered. I didn't disagree. Not out loud. 7:10 a.m., a surprising apology. We continued walking slowly. Harold's voice broke. Grace, I didn't mean to put you at risk. I swear I didn't. Something in me softened, just slightly, like a door unlocking but not opening. That's the first sincere apology you've made in years, I said. He blinked. Really? Yes. He nodded slowly, defeated but genuine. Then I'll keep trying, even if I'm terrible at it, I sighed. Trying is better than ignoring. 7:11 a.m. At the building door, Harold held the door for me. Not dramatically. Not to prove anything. Just held it. Grace, he whispered, let me fix this. The fraud, the mistakes, and maybe us. I looked at him. Not the Harold who shouted. Not the Harold who controlled. The Harold who was finally scared of losing something real. We'll fix the fraud first, I said. The rest, we'll see. He nodded, accepting it. For now, that was enough. 7:22 a.m. The apartment living room. Harold sat frozen, still gripping my hand after the bank call. His eyes blinked rapidly like his brain was buffering reality. Sarah, he whispered. She actually did it. Yes, I said softly. She did. Harold looked devastated, confused, and oddly insulted. My own niece stole your identity. Why didn't she steal mine? I stared. Harold, that's not the point. He sputtered. But why you and not me? I'm the easier target. I've practically been begging scammers to come get me. I slowly placed my tea down. Harold, are you jealous of my identity theft? He pointed at himself. Well, I mean, if someone was going to commit fraud, I should be the obvious choice. I blinked twice. That is the strangest insecurity I've ever heard. He rubbed his face. I know, I'm spiraling. 7:23 a.m., the Harold panic spiral, featuring a fainting attempt. Harold stood up dramatically, pacing the living room like a man auditioning for a crime documentary. I trusted her. I gave her the key. The mail. He paused. Grace, what if I'm gullible? I almost answered too quickly. He held up a finger. Don't confirm that. I closed my mouth. Harold pressed his hand to his chest. I think I'm going to faint. You never faint. I could start. He lowered himself onto the couch in slow motion, one hand over his forehead, the other clutching the armrest. I deadpanned. You look like a Victorian widow. He cracked one eye open. Is it working? No. He sat upright again. Damn. 7:25 a.m. A real conversation begins. Silence settled, but for once it wasn't the heavy, suffocating kind. It was searching. Harold finally spoke, quietly. Grace, am I the kind of man people take advantage of? Yes, I said, gently, but also the kind who ignores the people he should listen to. He winced. You mean, you? I nodded. I tried telling you Sarah was careless, but you always dismissed me. I thought you were worrying too much, he said. I was worrying just enough. He swallowed, and the room swallowed with him. 7:27 a.m. Humor sneaks back in. Harold abruptly pointed at the tea mug in my hand. Grace, what if she used our address to order something expensive? What if she bought a giant TV? We don't need a giant TV. She would get it in her name but have it shipped here. Then we'd be stuck watching the Weather Channel in ultra-high definition. I can't age in that kind of detail. I choked on my tea. Harold, focus. I am focusing. I'm focusing on our possible future of seeing wrinkles in 4K. 7:28 a.m. The first step toward action. I stood up. We need to go to the bank. Today, right now. Harold scrambled to his feet too quickly and immediately grabbed his lower back. Oh, my spine just filed a second complaint. Harold, I sighed, you can't fight gravity and crime on the same morning. It's fine, he said bravely. I'm fueled by righteous anger and Tylenol. He straightened his robe like a warrior tightening his armor. Then his stomach growled. Loudly. Was that you? I asked. Harold's eyes widened. I think my organs are unionizing. 7:29 a.m. A quiet shift. I handed him his shoes. This time, he didn't demand help. He didn't bark orders. He didn't belittle anything. He sat down, slowly, carefully, thoughtfully. Grace, he said, staring at his shoes. I know I've been loud and stubborn and blind, but I'm trying, truly trying. I softened just a little. Trying is a start, Harold, I said. He looked up at me. Then let me try to protect you, he said quietly. Not because I'm supposed to. I exhaled, deeply. For once, his words didn't hit like demands. They landed like hope. 7:30 a.m. Leaving the apartment, we stepped out into the hallway. Harold walked beside me, not in front, not behind, but beside. A small shift, but a real one. Grace, he whispered, after the bank, can we get breakfast? I raised an eyebrow. Why? He shrugged. Because I want to sit somewhere with you and not fight. I looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Yes, Harold, we can do that. His face softened, and together, we headed toward the elevator. Toward answers. Toward something new. 7:31 a.m. Elevator ride down. The elevator hummed as it descended, that gentle mechanical drone that somehow made everything feel more serious. Harold stood beside me, clutching the elevator rail like turbulence might hit at any moment. His robe belt had come undone on one side, hanging limply like a sad flag. Harold, I whispered, fix your belt. He looked down. Oh, I thought that breeze felt personal. He tied it hastily, too hastily, creating a giant knot that made him look like he was smuggling a pillow under his robe. I stared. Why did you tie it like that? I panicked. The elevator doors slid open before I could respond. 7:32 a.m. Lobby chaos, courtesy of Harold. Charles, the doorman, spotted us immediately. Mr. Whitmore, he said carefully, your belt situation looks concerning. Harold motioned at the knot. This is secure, child-proof. It's adult-proof too, Charles muttered. I stepped forward. Charles, we're heading to the bank. Fraud issue, very serious. Charles nodded deeply, then turned to Harold. Try not to create more emergencies on the way. Harold placed a hand on his chest. I make no promises. 7:33 a.m. The cold Manhattan air. We stepped outside and Manhattan's morning chill greeted us. Harold inhaled dramatically, then frowned. That air went in crooked. Air can't go in crooked, Harold. It felt crooked. We walked toward the corner where the bus stop was. Harold insisted we not take a taxi. Taxis judge me, he said. No, I corrected. Drivers judge the robe. It's a distinguished robe. A man passing by looked Harold up and down and muttered, "Bold outfit for a Tuesday." Harold gasped. See, harassment. 7:35 a.m. The pigeon returns. Of course it does. The same pigeon from earlier strutted out behind a trash can like it had been waiting for a rematch. Harold froze. "Oh no, not you again." The pigeon inched closer. Harold whispered, "Grace, it remembers me. It's a bird, Harold. It has a personal vendetta." The pigeon hopped once. Harold yelped and stepped behind me again. "This is embarrassing," I said. "You're embarrassed? I'm being hunted." The pigeon walked away completely uninterested. Harold pointed after it. "Yeah, you better run." It walked, Harold. Same thing. 7:37 a.m., the bus ride. The bus pulled up with a hiss and Harold climbed aboard like he was boarding a ship during wartime. We sat down and he immediately buckled his imaginary seatbelt. The woman across from us frowned. "Sir, this is a bus. Safety has no rules," Harold declared. I gently tapped his arm. "Sit normally." He straightened his back. "I am normal." "No," I whispered. "You are vibrating." He was. 7:39 a.m., a sudden question. As the bus rolled forward, Harold turned to me. "Grace, do you think she'll be arrested, Sarah?" I hesitated. "I don't know. It depends on what the bank finds." Harold looked down at his hands that trembled more than before. "I raised her," he whispered. "After her mom passed, she was like a daughter." "I know. I thought giving her the key, the mail, it meant trust." "Harold," I said softly, "trust without boundaries isn't kindness. It's an invitation to be used." He swallowed hard. "I hate that you're right." I squeezed his hand. This time, he squeezed back. 7:41 a.m., Harold's attempt at positivity. After a few quiet blocks, Harold cleared his throat. "Well," he said, trying to brighten, "after we fix the fraud, maybe we could get Starbucks? My treat?" "Your treat?" I teased. "With which credit card? The one Sarah didn't steal?" Harold closed his eyes. "Too soon, Grace. Too soon." But I smiled and he noticed. "Was that a smile?" he asked softly. "Yes," I said. "A small one." He breathed out, a real breath this time. Not dramatic, not defensive, just human. 42 a.m., the stop approaches. The bus slowed near the Bankline building. Harold stood too early, lost his balance, and grabbed a pole like a man clinging to life. "Are you okay?" I asked. "No," he said honestly. "But I'm trying." And somehow, that meant something. We stepped off the bus together, toward answers, toward consequences, toward whatever came next. 7:43 a.m. Outside the Bankline building. The Bankline building towered above us, glass, steel, and the quiet shame of people realizing they overspent on credit cards. Harold stared up at it like he was about to walk into surgery. "I don't like banks," he muttered. "You love banks," I said. "You argue with the ATMs. That's because they're smug." I held the door. "Go in, Harold." He took a deep breath, then stepped directly into the motion sensor door before it opened. Bonk. I covered my mouth. "Harold, are you okay?" He blinked, stunned. "The door attacked first." "No," I said gently. "You walked too early." "Same thing," he grumbled. 7:44 a.m. inside the lobby. The lobby was bright and cold, the kind of cold that made you feel guilty even when you hadn't done anything wrong. A receptionist greeted us. "Good morning, fraud department?" Harold pointed at me instantly. "Her." The receptionist blinked at my calm expression. "Identity theft?" "Yes," I said. Harold jumped in. "And I want to file a personal complaint about family betrayal, emotional trauma, and unfair robbery targeting." "Targeting?" she repeated. "Me?" Harold shouted. "Why didn't she steal my identity?" I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Harold, please," the receptionist smiled awkwardly. "Please have a seat." 7:45 a.m. waiting room chaos. We sat in the waiting area. Harold on edge, me trying to stay collected. A toddler across the room was holding a juice box. Harold stared at him intensely. "What are you doing?" I whispered. "Assessing threats. He is 3. "He has sticky hands," Harold whispered dramatically. "Sticky hands are unpredictable." The toddler sneezed. Harold flinched. I patted his knee. "Relax." "I can't relax," he whispered loudly. "What if Sarah is here?" "She wouldn't walk into a bank she stole from, Harold." "You don't know that. She could be bold, brazen, criminally confident." A woman nearby looked at him with sympathy. "Sir, maybe meditate." Harold scoffed. "Meditation is how I got into this emotional mess." 7:47 a.m. Called in. A bank officer opened the door. "Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore?" Harold stood with the stiff posture of a man preparing for battlefield interrogation. "Follow me," she said kindly. We walked into a small office with a large monitor. "I'm Miss Lawson," she said. I'll walk you through everything. Harold swallowed loudly enough for the whole floor to hear. 48 a.m. Reviewing the footage, Miss Lawson pulled up security camera footage. On screen, Sarah, blonde hair, gray coat, carrying the spare key we kept on the bookshelf. Harold's lips trembled. She really did it. Miss Lawson clicked another clip. This shows her retrieving mail from your apartment mailbox, Harold whispered. Grace, she walked into our building with my key. Yes, I said, because you gave it to her. He deflated into the chair, like a balloon losing the will to float. 7:50 a.m. The evidence breaks him. Miss Lawson continued gently. She used your mail to open a credit account under your wife's name. She forged the signature. Harold covered his face with both hands. Oh God, I helped her do it. I practically rolled out a red carpet for crime. That's not how crime works, Miss Lawson reassured. It is today, Harold cried. Then he whispered, almost childlike, how could she do this to us? His voice cracked, fragile and real. 7:52 a.m. My turn to speak. I placed my hand on Harold's arm. Harold, she didn't betray us because of something we did. She did it because she thought she could get away with it. He stared at me. Grace, I'm so sorry. If I had listened to you. I'm not interested in blame, I said softly. I'm interested in fixing it. 7:53 a.m. The decision. Ms. Lawson folded her hands. We can proceed with pressing charges, or, if you prefer, we can pursue civil recovery. Harold looked at me, eyes red, guilt heavy, fear raw. What do we do, Grace? I breathed in deeply, slowly. The way Liam taught. We do the right thing, I said. Harold nodded, for the first time without arguing. 7:54 a.m. Inside the fraud office. Harold sat stiffly in the chair, clutching the armrests as if the building might suddenly tip over. His voice was barely a whisper. Grace, pressing charges makes it real. It's already real, Harold, I said gently. Ms. Lawson, patient and composed, added, You don't have to rush, take your time. Harold nodded, and then immediately said, Okay, I'm rushing. What do I do? Do I sign something? Should I faint? Should I prepare a statement? Does Netflix need rights? I pressed my lips together. Harold, you're spiraling again. This is a spiral-worthy moment. 7:55 a.m. Miss Bet Lawson brings out the forms. She slid a stack of papers toward us, thick enough to qualify as a light workout. Harold stared. Are those legal documents or a new Bible edition? Just standard fraud paperwork, she said kindly. He exhaled dramatically. Oh good, I thought I'd have to swear on something. You still might, I muttered. He turned to me, eyes wide. Grace, not helping. 7:56 a.m. Reality hits harder than expected. Harold picked up the pen, then froze. His voice cracked. She called me last night, you know, Sarah, said she was proud of me for being a good uncle. I sighed. Harold? She lied right to my face, he whispered. With that sweet voice she used to have when she was little. She used to call me Uncle H. Bear. My heart softened. Not for Sarah, but for the man who suddenly looked 80 instead of 72. Harold, being kind doesn't mean being blind. He nodded weakly. I know, I just don't want to be the villain in her story. You're not the villain, I said gently. She is. Miss Lawson cleared her throat softly. Mr. Whitmore, you're the victim here. He blinked. A long, stunned blink. No one's ever called me that before, he murmured. 7:57 a.m. Harold signs. His hands trembled as he signed the paperwork. Not angrily, not dramatically, just sad. When he finished, he placed the pen down as if it weighed 5 pounds. There, he said, it's done. Then, because Harold is Harold, he added, do I get a sticker, a badge, something for bravery? Ms. Lawson blinked. We don't typically. I think he deserves one, I said. Harold gasped. Do you mean that? Yes, for finally doing the right thing. He puffed up slightly. Then yes, I deserve a sticker, a brave sticker. 7:50 a.m., walking out. We left the office slowly. Harold's posture wasn't proud, wasn't angry, just human. When we reached the lobby, he whispered, Grace, did I ruin everything, all these years? I stepped closer. No, Harold. You hurt me. A lot. But ruining everything? No. He searched my face. With everything that's happened, do you still want to stay with me? I breathed in, deep, slow, the way Liam taught me, and I answered honestly, I don't know what our future looks like, Harold, but I see you trying, and that matters. His shoulders dropped in relief. Then, can we start over? He asked. I hesitated, then nodded. We can try. 7:59 a.m., the funny moment that interrupted the emotion. Right then, a bank security guard rushed toward us. Sir, Harold startled. What? Am I under arrest? I knew it. Grace, I told you my face looks suspicious. The guard held up Harold's wallet. You dropped this in the hallway. Harold blinked. Oh. The guard turned to me. Ma'am, he also dropped a cough drop, 3 receipts, and what I think is a bus ticket from 1989. Harold snatched his wallet. It's vintage, I laughed. A real, warm, uncontrollable laugh. Harold watched me, awestruck. I haven't heard that laugh in years, he whispered. I squeezed his arm. You haven't earned it in years. 8 a.m., ready for what comes next. We stepped outside into the crisp Manhattan air. Harold squared his shoulders. Grace, breakfast? I smiled. Let's go. He offered me his arm, not to control me, not to lead me, but to stand beside me. And for the first time in a long, long while, I took it. 3 weeks later, early morning Manhattan. The world felt different now. Not louder, not brighter, just calmer. I sat by the apartment window, wrapped in my soft cardigan, watching the city wake up. The sky over Manhattan glowed a pale gold, the kind of color that made even old buildings look young again. I held a warm cup of chamomile tea, properly brewed this time, between my palms. Behind me, Harold shuffled into the room. He was quieter these days, not out of fear, not out of guilt, but out of effort. Real effort. Morning, Grace, he said softly. The softness still surprised me, even now. Morning, I answered. He walked over with 2 envelopes in his hand, one from the bank, one from the court. No more charges under your name, he said with relief. And Sarah accepted the plea deal. I nodded. The ache was still there, but it wasn't sharp anymore. She's facing consequences, Harold. That's justice, not cruelty. He nodded. I know, I wish she hadn't done it. We both knew he wasn't just talking about the fraud. He sat beside me, closer than before, but not crowding me the way he used to. Just near enough to mean something. I'm sorry, Grace, he whispered. For all the years I wasn't who you needed. I looked at him. Really looked. The man beside me wasn't the same man who barked orders at me, who ignored my feelings, who treated my silence as obedience instead of exhaustion. This man was older, humbled, softened, raw in ways pride no longer protected. I know, I said quietly, and I see the changes you're making. He straightened, a little hope flickering in his eyes. Does that mean we're okay? I smiled gently. It means we're trying, both of us, and trying is a start. The healing continues. A soft knock came at the door. It was a neighbor dropping off the yoga mat Harold had borrowed during his attempt at home stretching last week. He held it up proudly. Grace, look, I'm improving. I raised an eyebrow. You got stuck on the floor for 20 minutes. That was part of the exercise. It was you calling for help. He blushed. Well, yes, but I called much more politely than usual. I laughed, not the forced polite laugh I used for years. A real one. Harold smiled like that sound alone was worth every stretch, every apology, every change he had attempted. A new beginning, one breath at a time. At 8 a.m., I grabbed my tote bag. It's time for class, I said. Harold perked up instantly. I'm ready. You're joining again? He puffed his chest. If breathing is what fixes us, then I will breathe until the day I die. That's the point of breathing, Harold. He took my hand, not to lead me, not to claim me, but simply to walk beside me. We stepped into the hallway together, slow, gentle, side by side. Final words. On the elevator ride down, Harold looked at me and said, Grace, thank you for not giving up on me before I learned how to show up for you. I squeezed his hand. You're learning, Harold. That's enough for today. And when the elevator doors opened, the morning light washed over us. 2 old souls, bruised, imperfect, rebuilding, walking together into whatever came next. Not bound by habit, not bound by fear, but held together by choice. One breath, one apology, one quiet morning at a time.